This episode is brought to you by Ebby. Welcome back to another episode of Girlboss Radio. I'm your host, Avery, and I'm also the founder and CEO of Flume, an HR and DEI consulting firm, and I am a big believer that work should work for all of us. Women have been conditioned to live with discomfort at work, at home, and even in our bras. Julie Sukosd, the Chief Revenue Officer at Ebby, which stands for Empowered by You, is set out to change that. Why? Because as she says in our conversation, if we don't put ourselves first, who will? Ebby refuses to use metal underwire, and their innovative bras offer gentle, poke-free support so you no longer have to compromise your comfort, which we do in so many areas of our lives, let's be real. In today's episode, Julie and I talk about the also common ways we feel uncomfortable at work, whether it's giving or receiving feedback, advocating for ourselves, and even what we choose to put on our bodies first thing in the morning. We also get into Ebby's mission of helping 1 million women in Colombia, Nicaragua, Haiti, and India transition out of poverty and into business through microloans that come from every single purchase. This conversation reminded me that comfort is not a luxury, it's a necessity. Let's get into it. Julie, welcome to Girlboss Radio. I am so excited to have this conversation with you today.
Thanks, Avery. I'm so happy to be here.
So I did like a deep dive learning about your background and experience, and I'm super excited to talk about all things like leadership and women's discomfort. But first and foremost, I wanted to set a little bit of context for our listeners. Can you tell us a little bit about your background and like the journey that led you to Ebby?
Yeah, absolutely. So I have been working in my career for over 25 years. And I always jokingly say I've been selling bras and panties from the beginning. And every moment throughout my career has really led me to where I am today with Ebby. And I really look back on my past experiences, and I've taken so much from every one of my experiences to heart. I've learned and grown from each of them. And part of that is just really focusing on the customer from the beginning. I always felt at the core that was the most important thing I should do, listening to her needs, what she wants, what her desires are. And that really helps build towards all of the strategic decisioning that I've made throughout my career. But then at Ebby, we're able to really take that up to the next level. And it's really a key ingredient to everything that we're doing, from the product to our marketing and so forth.
Was there like a specific experience that really kind of pushed you towards Ebby?
Yeah, one of the great examples I had was we have a fantastic focus on our products, and it's, again, based on the customer. But on top of that, we also have, we're backed by a mission, and we really focus on that piece of it where we want to really do more than just a handout. And so for me to be able to not only sell what I love, which is bras and underwear, but to couple that with actually helping break the cycle of poverty and help women grow their own businesses in their own right, it was a win-win for me.
What was an early experience for you at work that maybe was an indicator for you that maybe entrepreneurship could be a part of your career journey?
I think for me, when I think back into every experience that I've had, there's some level of that entrepreneurial spirit in every piece that I was. I was either the first person on the team and I had to figure it all out and then build a team and then grow it. One of my first experiences right out of college, I was tasked with launching an e-commerce site. I had no experience doing that, no right probably doing it either, but I had to figure it out. I had to really kind of put it all together. So I took that with me, and it's like, you kind of have to, roll up your sleeves and figure it out, which is very much, as an entrepreneur, you're really rolling up your sleeves all the time and problem solving constantly.
When I was getting to learn a little bit more about you, I learned that you are a huge advocate for servant leadership. What does that mean to you?
It's so important that we provide real-time feedback and that we're bringing people up to the level that we see. So sometimes individuals don't see the greatness that's within them, and you really have to kind of coach it out of them, if you will, and then also bring them so they can see it and they can believe it. I think there's often so many times where we're told you can't do this, you can't do that for whatever reason. But if you give someone an opportunity, that's where you start to see really greatness. I think that's always been my goal, to make sure that anybody that works with me, that I'm helping them be better than they were before. Because in most cases throughout my career, I didn't really get a lot of those opportunities. I've been very blessed to have some really fantastic leaders to really push me. And I think where we struggle is not giving that real-time feedback, which we so all desperately need. I always say the good, the bad, and the ugly. I need it all to grow.
Feedback is a bitch. I think that it's something that we all love. It's like I have a love-hate relationship with feedback. I love receiving feedback. I hate giving it. I've really had to get comfortable with practicing, like being in the practice of giving feedback. What I've been trying to do is kind of anchor myself into this idea that feedback is always neutral until you make or take an action around it. So the more I center neutrality around feedback, I think the easier it's been for me to do that. So for anyone that's listening to this right now and they're like, their hairs are crawling on the back of their spine because they're like, ugh, like I have to give someone feedback right now, or I just got really tough feedback. What advice do you have for folks to get better at the practice of, number one, like giving in real-time feedback?
It takes practice. First of all, it's hard to give it as much as it's hard to receive it. And I think you have to be good at receiving it as just as much as you are giving it. And I think the one thing I've always focused on is like, I'm desperate for feedback. Like it's just part of who I am at my core. So that tells me that my team needs it just as much as I do. I want to provide that immediate feedback because it does no one any disservice if so much time has passed, because then you don't remember all the details. You don't remember the ins and outs, and then like who said this, she said this, or whatever. But it's so important to provide that because it's like, okay, I get it. And then what I also want to make sure that my team sees is that there's actions that happen with that. So feedback is only as good as what you do with it.
Yeah, absolutely. And what advice do you have for folks that are listening that are in a cycle where they get feedback only like once a year, or they maybe get it quarterly, and they're maybe working with someone who is uncomfortable like me with giving feedback, but they need to perhaps like really seek it out?
Yeah, I mean, I will tell you, I have experienced that many of times. And I think as a steward of your own career, it's important that you go and seek it, and not in a aggressive or demanding way, but just it's also how you approach it, right? Like, hey, this happened, in this meeting. How do you think that went? And you kind of have it more as an open dialogue. It's about being a little bit more empathetic in trying to receive the feedback if your leader or your teammate doesn't like to give it. But you can tell, because a lot of people wear their emotions very well in their faces. And so you can tell when they don't want to do it. You need to have the open dialogue, because what breaks down in any relationship, whether it's a working relationship, personal relationships, communication, that's the most important thing that we can do.
No, I totally agree. I think the way you're framing it around keeping it conversational and empathetic and really like asking for the feedback is super important. So yeah, I just wanted to dive a little bit deeper into your ethos around servant leadership, because I think it's something that a lot of people are talking about right now. But I wanted to get into Ebby's mission. I know it's to empower women to feel confident in their own skin. How does that mission come to life in your work?
Every day, I feel like. So we truly believe that when you feel good, you can do good, and you can focus on what matters most to you. So whether that's your career, your family, your passions, our focus is to make sure that women are feeling comfortable and confident in their own skin. At the end of the day, if we can all feel that way, and like you don't know that you're wearing a particular undergarment, you can't feel it, it just adds to your confidence. It adds to that level of comfort and support that you need throughout your day. And it's critical, because if I'm feeling something, it's the only thing I'm going to be thinking about. It causes extra anxiety that we all don't need.
Absolutely. So what are some things that are getting in the way of women feeling good?
I think from my perspective, what gets in our own way is often ourselves. And there's also the demands that hit every single one of us. We all have a tremendous amount of demands, but in most cases, we're putting those on ourselves because it's a constant influx of needs, asks, wants, desires, things of that nature. And everybody wants a little piece of you here and there and everywhere. And so a lot of that is self-imposed, right? And so when you think about your everyday, you have to really think about what have we been sacrificing? What have we been settling for as normal? And is that okay? In most cases, no, it's not. And so that's, that's really the mantra we even have at Ebby. It's, we don't have to settle for what has been considered normalized. We shouldn't have to.
Wow. As you're saying that, I'm thinking about ways that I've like settled and or just been stuck in a state of discomfort because I'm so used to it. And I haven't necessarily like pushed myself to make the changes to feel more comfortable or to like not necessarily experience the barriers, like you said, that are self-imposed. I think that we make these decisions as women in small and big ways. Why do you think this is? Like, why do you think that this is like a shared experience for all of us?
I think from a young age, many women are told what to wear, how to feel about their bodies. And it's just kind of been this constant cycle. I always call it generational trauma in most cases. It's like, you have to be this way. You can't say this. You can't do that. You have to wear this. You should wear heels. The question is why? Why? Why am I also forced to being wearing a wired bra? A lot of these societal pressures that have been placed on us, and it doesn't make sense. And so I think it's like breaking through and breaking that cycle and breaking through that is what's really important.
I completely agree. I think that for a long time, women have been socialized for millennia to essentially prioritize others over ourselves. Again, this shows up in small and big ways. And one of the things that I love about your products is that I find that bras and underwear have always been built and created with the male gaze in mind, whereas what has happened is it pushes us away from even prioritizing our own comfort because we're trying to look good for, in my personal opinion, for someone that isn't even going to really see what is under our shirt. And I think that that's something that I really value about like kind of this evolution in the industry at large. But I'm curious, like, what are your thoughts around the early contributors to this industry where it's kind of growing to with people like you now, like leading the charge and making these new evolutions?
When I think about intimate apparel specifically, it's a competitive market for sure. But we have found a way at Epi, particularly, is like, we just have to focus on her, focus on what she's saying and what she wants. And at the end of the day, she just wants to be comfortable and she needs her products to be supportive. It needs to be like performance mindset, and it needs to be pretty. It needs to have style, and it needs to look good. She doesn't need to dress for somebody else. She shouldn't have to. She needs to dress for herself. But if you start with yourself first and you make that conscious decision in the morning, going into your top drawer and picking the product that is most comfortable to you, you're going to probably have a better day because you put yourself first. You made that conscious decision. And if it fits you and it supports you in the right way, it gives you that added confidence boost that you really need. And if you're thinking about the products that you're wearing, whether it's the shoe or the bra, it's a distraction. And you can't be your best self if you're distracted.
Absolutely. And how do you see women's comfort playing a bigger role in really us defining success on our own terms?
Everything. It's a continuous age-old problem that we've always had. We lack putting ourselves first. So therefore, we lack putting comfort first. Constantly. It's almost the last thing that we think about, even though it should be at the forefront. So I want to be my best self. So I have to be comfortable and I want to look good as well. It's not for anybody else. It's for me.
And what's really interesting about this, and a lot of people don't know this, but there's a lot of data around the impact of how much time women spend getting ready in the morning, how it directly correlates with their career, quote unquote, success and progression, and also how much they get paid. It's interesting because there's so many like real systems that push us in the direction of making choices that aren't necessarily for ourselves. What I wanted to talk a lot about too with you is Ebby's microfinance mission is really unique. Can you share how it provides a hand up for women around the world?
This is one of my most proud things, I think, even throughout my own career, not only about growing the business at Ebby, but being part of an initiative like this, where it's ingrained in our culture that we are here to really break the cycle of poverty. So we have this commitment. We're giving back through microfinance programs that are really throughout the world, but really helping impoverished communities support women to get them to build their own business plans and learn how to create a business and how to do it effectively through education, through community support, et cetera. So a portion of our profit goes right back into this. And so it's really important as we think about how we're growing, that it's embedded in the business plan and the business growth, because everything that we do is for these amazing women entrepreneurs across the world that are just trying to break the cycle of poverty and help their family and help their community break that cycle. And I think what's been really eye-opening for me is being able to experience it firsthand and seeing the work that we are doing and the impact it is making. It's almost unexplainable. And so this program gives them that chance, and to be able to talk with these women and see the impact that it's made on their children, and to see that they're getting the proper education now that they weren't necessarily able to get before, just simply because their mom was able to start their business, in their community and grow from there. And it's so empowering as a leader to see that, within your own right, and know that every day that I'm here, I need to work that much harder for these amazing women entrepreneurs that are across the world, because they need me. They need me to do more. They need me to do that much more every single day.
It's energizing for me to hear your excitement around this. And I think that one thing that I really wanted to understand, because the mission is so beautiful and wonderful, and it's already making such a big impact. But I'm curious, how does Ebby stand out in a saturated market while staying really true to your mission, which I find is almost impossible for so many businesses nowadays?
Yeah, I think what makes us unique is the mission. But I think also what I love about Ebby in particular is that we're a women-run, led business. We're entrepreneurs in our own right. And so that we also work and partner with content creators that are women entrepreneurs and business leaders in their own right. And then it's this beautiful synergistic cycle that we continuously see. We're fueling women in business as entrepreneurs across literally the globe. It's really kind of cool. And so I feel like that really differentiates ourselves. But also on top of that, our product really stands for itself. We're really focusing on product innovation, things like that, to really focus on the customer needs. So she needs to be comfortable.
I honestly need to get that on a t-shirt. You need to be comfortable. She needs to be comfortable. 100%.
We all need to be comfortable.
100%. Yeah. I think that was one of the best things to come out of the shift towards remote work, is that I literally have not worn a pair of jeans while working since 2020. And it has increased my productivity personally. I don't know if anyone else feels this way. But if someone's listening right now and they're fidgeting, or they're feeling the wire of their bra poking into the side of their body, and they don't know necessarily where to start to maybe find a bra that fits them. I know this is an issue for a lot of folks. Where do you think that they should start? How do they know?
You should never settle for something that's poking you in your side. You should never feel that you have to settle for a wired bra, a plastic wire bra, a metal wire bra. That's immediately going to put constrictions on your breasts. And who wants that? It digs into your side, it's rubbing you, it's poking you, and it eventually comes out, and then it's jabbing you, and you're getting stabbed in the side. So why settle for that when you have solutions that are out there? I think about Ebby, we don't have any metal, any plastic wires in our products whatsoever. We are adamantly against it, because immediately, as soon as you do that, it's putting constriction on yourself. So when you're wearing a bra and it has a metal wire or has a plastic wire, it's immediately outside of your breast. It's not conforming. It's negatively impacting how you fit and how you feel. So we have focused on at Ebby innovation, where it's this beautiful silicone-based wire, but it's not a wire. It's the anti-wire. And so it really conforms to your body shape, the shape of your breast, and really holds you and gives you that support without the pain of the wire. And it's game changing. And it should be. And we should stop settling for things that, are over 100 years old and what was considered status quo no longer.
And what do you think are some of the societal pressures around appearance that you think influence the way that women dress and what we wear and what we tolerate?
A lot of that is focusing on how we look and who we're presenting ourselves to versus us presenting ourselves to the world. I always say flip the script because it's how you present yourself. And so do I need to wear a wired bra? Do I need to do that? I always am asking those questions like, why am I doing this? Who told me I had to do this? I'm in control of myself. So allow me to flip that script.
A silicone wire is very cool. That's like, I'm thinking about the wired bras that I have in my closet, and I'm actually like shocked that I have not made this evolution yet. It's like all these old antiquated ways. You're right. Like this is technology that's so old. And yet I'm like really progressive in a lot of ways, my views, perspectives, and everything. And yet I'm walking around in a bra from like,
yeah,
from the 50s. Like what's going on?
I mean, it's 100-year-old problem. Isn't that? And it's just crazy to think that. And like, we're addressing that problem head on. And so many bra wearers have faced this, right? It's over a century. Like that's mind boggling to me. And, at Evie, we're just bringing this new energy around it, having a conversation that's really long overdue and offering products to solve for that actually deliver on the promises. Not saying that it's comfortable, but actually it is comfortable. And this is why.
And what put you on this mission of delivering comfort to women everywhere?
Because we deserve it. Because someone had to advocate for us because we don't advocate for ourselves.
Easy answer.
Our new product, our 3D Precision Bra, it's really fantastic. And it literally puts that conversation at the forefront. And particularly in the wire-free space. It is a patented metal-free 3D wire technology. And I'm like, it's so cool to be able to say it's 3D printed. And it's just really cool. And it just sits on your breast, but it moves with you. With us amazing women is that our bodies are fluctuating all the time. Every day, where your breasts typically are a different shape. And then mid-month, they're a different shape more than likely as well. And so we've combined this with a 3D wing suspension technology, which is on the side wing that gives you the most support and the most comfort that you will have ever in a bra. And it really just breaks the cycle of uncomfortable bras in a whole new level because it's just providing you the most optimal support. And I was reading some of our reviews earlier today too. And I was just like, it's like a cloud. It's like you're wearing a cloud and you're supportive. You feel so supportive. It's really exciting to see that just simple innovations, but very advanced innovations in a product category that hasn't had a lot of advancements to really make sure that women feel comfortable every single day.
It's so interesting that you mentioned how our bodies fluctuate. And I'm wondering if anyone else does this that's listening, but I have a period bra. So I have a bra that I exclusively wear when I'm on my period because my boobs feel like they double in size and they're so tender and like sensitive that like any other bras that I have in my closet currently, like the way that they rub and like poke and shift when I move, even something as simple as like picking up the groceries and like going into like my car, I can feel it. So it's like I go braless, which is, by the way, like for me, sometimes it's like the best thing, or I wear my period bra, which probably needs to be just donated at this point. No, I think that it's so interesting because it's like, it made me think about the things that I'm doing to adjust around the way that my body fluctuates versus like investing in something that would solve that problem.
You through all of that.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm like learning so much through this conversation about myself. But I mean, yeah, it's like so
a therapy
interesting.
Session.
Yeah, totally. So I think that where I'd love to wrap up this conversation is to get your advice for women on managing discomfort, whether it be through the clothing that we wear or like specifically in sometimes more nuanced situations with our careers and with work.
This is easier said than done, but you have to put yourself first always. And this is something I've learned as I've gotten older as well, as I've been a mom, and it's the hardest thing to do is to put yourself first. but you have to, because you can't be your best self if you put yourself last. And part of that comes with you have to be comfortable every single day. There's going to be discomfort, but start with what you're doing every single day. Like I work out. I try to work out every single day. I need to have that moment and I have to do it in the morning because if I don't, it's not going to happen. And I have routines and those are also really important. But for me, you have to be an advocate for yourself and those that are around you. And I call it my sphere, my girls. We all support each other. Like you have to have that. And you have to keep each other accountable too. That's that real-time feedback. I'm giving it to everybody. Like you got to have it. I have to know. I have to always be in check. And so it's so important to kind of keep yourself, but you have to keep yourself grounded, but you got to put yourself first.
Yeah. I think for me, you holding me accountable is I need to retire my wired bra. This needs to happen.
This does.
And I'm going to hold my other girlfriends accountable to this as well. But honestly, Julie, this was such a great conversation. It did feel like a bit of a bra therapy session for me that I needed. I needed this intervention from you or somebody. So I'm so happy we had this conversation. And yeah, for folks that want to continue to follow along on your journey, and Abby, of course, like where can they find you?
You can find me on LinkedIn. And then I'm on the gram, but LinkedIn's probably best.
Awesome, Julie. Well, thank you so much for taking the time to chat with us today. And that's a wrap on my conversation with Julie. Don't forget to check out the show notes in the description below to learn more about Abby and their brand new 3D precision bra with wire-free underwire. I'd love to know what you thought about our conversation, so send us a DM on Instagram at Girlboss Radio and give us a follow for even more podcast content. Tune in next week for another episode with a very special guest, and until then, don't forget to leave us a comment and rate it 5 stars. This podcast is produced by Victoria Christie and Camilla Nizio and edited by Deo Godamine. Until next time, keep blooming.